It's time for Around the Ozarks in 5, brought to you by the Butterfly Palace. Have the best day ever at the Butterfly Palace. Springfield Greene County Park Board, reminding you to go play. Roto-Rooter Plumbing and Drain Service. Call Southwest Missouri's best plumber today for a free estimate. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Foreheads.
Hey, good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. And it is a happy Wednesday in the Foreheads household because Sarah is back. Sarah and Griffin, our 10-year-old, they just were on a 2-week trip to Africa. Sarah was speaking at churches all throughout the country. Griffin was going along with her, and he got to speak a little bit at a couple of churches, I think. So just a great experience especially for him. Great experience for Sarah as well. She got back late last night, so I'm letting her sleep in because it was a 42-hour trek, not on the plane the whole time, but with a long layover in Qatar. Anyway, she's resting up. She'll be with me tomorrow morning, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. But I'm on my own this morning. I want to thank Diana Tyndall from Modern Day Marketing for filling in while Sarah was gone. Thank you so much, Diana. You made it more fun. But this morning, it'll be me sharing a little news with you. So let's do it. 2 adults are now also charged in the shooting that followed the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade and rally last week. Both of those men were wounded in the shootout, and they're still hospitalized. One of them is charged now with murder in the death of a 43-year-old radio personality and young mother. Police say the shooting started when the men got into an argument with someone they didn't know. They pulled out guns and started shooting with a huge crowd around. It's unbelievable. There are likely other shooters, police say, and they also say they're determined to hold every shooter accountable. You already know 2 juveniles are charged in that shooting. So 4 people now charged, 2 adults, 2 juveniles. More could and likely will be on the way. A total of 23 people were shot, half of them younger than 16 years old. The whole thing is mind-boggling. To be in a situation with that a million people and to, first of all, let some kind of argument escalate into pulling out a gun, not in self-defense, but just pulling out a gun and then firing, everybody using their guns to shoot at each other. I mean, half of these kids, half of the victims were kids. How do you shoot that many children at an event like that? It's mind-boggling to me how that even took place in the first place. But now there are 4 people charged. And then there's this. Less than a week after the shooting, the Missouri House of Representatives has passed a bill that would ban celebratory gunfire in the state of Missouri. That vote was 120 to 26 to make shooting a gun within city limits a misdemeanor for the first offense. Just to be clear, because this is a little confusing now, what's the legislature doing following this shooting, because it's apples and oranges. Just to be clear, the shooting in Kansas City was not celebratory gunfire. But that said, the legislature for a while now has been trying to pass this because it can be an issue. Bullets go up and they got to come down somewhere if you're celebrating New Year's Eve or some kind of Super Bowl victory or something. So that's the latest on that story. Then closer to home, the E-Factory at Missouri State is getting $500,000 grant. It comes from the Missouri Technology Corps. The grant will be over 3 years and will allow the E-Factory to plan more entrepreneurial training programs and send more talent to jobs that are just waiting for them because there's a lot of openings that they need to be filled. So that'll help. Excuse me. And then there's this. The City of Republic is considering a rate increase for its wastewater system. The city needs $50 million more dollars to improve the city's wastewater treatment plant. The city's already spent $50 million and has already received $50 million from the state of Missouri. So it's looking for other funding above and beyond what could come in from raising rates. So it's looking for options besides that for the remaining third, the remaining 50K. So the rate increase may not be necessary, may not. The city is going to talk about it at any rate at its next city council meeting. Graduate students at Evangel University can now stay on campus in a residence hall. Graduate students. Spence Hall will be set aside for graduate students and also for undergrads who are older than most other undergrads. So if you go back to school late in life, you live a bit of a different lifestyle than some of the kids in college, their first experience. So you want a little more peace and quiet. Spence Hall is going to be the one for you. There will be single rooms and suites available, and the hall will have male and female wings on Evangel University's campus. A local golf cart company just bought out another competitor. Clear Creek Golf Cars has just purchased Ozark Golf Cars. I think it's funny how they call them cars, not carts, because I always call them carts. But it's the company's name is Clear Creek Golf Cars, and it just purchased Ozark Golf Cars. It's the fourth acquisition by Clear Creek in just the last 3 years. That's what I mean by another acquisition. The company now has 11 stores in Arkansas, in Oklahoma, and right here in Missouri. That Missouri is for Lisa Rose, in case she's listening. Then there's passenger train service, I should say, in Springfield is again being looked at. This has happened several times over the years. Nothing's ever really happened, but now the Federal Railroad Administration is doing a study to see if it should connect New York City with St. Louis, with Springfield and Tulsa, all the way down to Texas. The administration is asking for public comment on this option as well as many others it's considering, so it's hardly a done deal. The Amtrak service would run on existing BNSF railway lines along Interstate 44. So it's kind of already there. But I wouldn't start travel plans just yet because it's a long way off, even if it is approved. And that's a big if. Some of the Lake of the Ozarks firefighters are in that area, at least, spotted a bald eagle in distress, and they jumped in to help. The Mid-County Fire Protection District firefighters were responding to a call when they spotted a bald eagle down in a ditch. Something was wrong. So after completing their response, they went back, they got the bald eagle, and they turned it over to the Missouri Department of Conservation, which took the eagle to Columbia to be seen by a vet. So that's what's happening now. We don't know the condition of this bald eagle, but good on the firefighters for, first of all, spotting it, right place, right time, and then getting it where it can get some help because it is our national symbol. This is awesome. The Springfield Police Department has a new 8-week-old puppy on the force, and it needs some help in naming him. It's a boy. The Chocolate Lab will serve as a comfort canine that will work specifically with officers to serve officers and help with the growing problem of mental health issues among our police officers, which that is a growing problem. I mean, the suicide rates and just the trauma that they experience responding to traumatic situations adds up, and it's really having an effect on certainly our law enforcement officers, also our military. You've heard some of those stats, which are just horrible. But now they have the lab, 8-week-old. Came from part of a $35,000 grant from the Gary Sinise Foundation to support officer wellness. And man, if you don't know anything about the Gary Sinise Foundation, look it up. It does really great work. He's just a great patriot who wants to give back to our heroes, military and police, and just all of our civic heroes as well. So he does a great job with his foundation, Lieutenant Dan. And that's one of the 4 names you can choose from. The police department has 4 names online that you can vote and choose from. Lieutenant Dan, of course, is one of them from the Forrest Gump movie. Gary is another name, possible name for the dog after Gary Sinise. And then there's Copper as well as Mac. So there's your 4 names, Lieutenant Dan, Gary, Copper, or Mac. And you can go to the City of Springfield website to place your vote. My money's on Lieutenant Dan. I think that's going to be the shoe-in. That's a great name for a dog, too. Lieutenant Dan. Come here, Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan, bad dog. And all the things you would do to a dog. I don't need to go through all of them. Thank you for being with me today. I appreciate it. Hope your Wednesday is fantastic. It's hump day, as you know. As I said, Sarah should be back with me tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to that. We're all thrilled. The girls and I are thrilled to have her and Griffin back in the house. The house was super clean when she came in, too, last night. Like, really clean. The girls cleaned it. And I had them do projects where they went through. You know what I had them do? And I paid them. We had to fill some time while Sarah and the boy were gone. I had them go through, or one of them at least, go through our cabinets, under the sink cabinets, which, you know, you get jammed in there with all kinds of stuff. Stuff is 15 years old. It's been in there forever. So I had them go through all that and clean that out. That's going to be a nice surprise. We did a floor clean, rejuvenating a floor, hardwood floor thing. So I'm hoping that she notices that first thing when she comes in. And then otherwise, the house is just clean. We made the bed, beds plural. Let's see, we cleaned the kitchen up. So it's in good shape. It's in good shape. Now that she's back, though, the girls are probably like, I've already done all my work. You guys can do the dishes. So we'll see what happens there. But at any rate, she's back this morning, sleeping in, and will be with me tomorrow. Have a fantastic Wednesday, and we hopefully will see you back here tomorrow. Bye.
It's time for Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather, sponsored by Scooters Coffee and Rescue Towing. Here's your host, meteorologist Abby Dyer.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Wednesday. It's going to be a great day here in the Ozarks. Not only are we waking up way above freezing this morning, temperatures in the 40s to start, we could hit some record high temperatures today in the 70s across the area. Yes, 70s in February. We were dealing with winter weather just last week, and now we are talking about potentially record-breaking high temperatures. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be feeling spring-like around the area later today. And then maybe later tonight, we get some of those springtime storms that you associate with these 70-degree temperatures. We'll dive right in this morning. I mentioned this morning you're waking up in the low 40s across the region. We've got a south breeze already, and it may be kind of windy today. I have winds 5 to 15 miles an hour. They'll stay out of the south today, allowing for partial sunshine and a nice breeze. High temperatures will land in the low 70s in most communities. It's going to be a fantastic day across the Ozarks. Forecasted high temperature in Springfield today, 72 degrees. The record high, by the way, is 73, set back in 1935. So we may at least tie or even potentially break some record highs from across the region. That is going to be possible later today. It's just going to feel so nice, though. So find some time in your workday. If you have to be cooped up indoors, take a walk around the building this afternoon. Get outside after work. Sunset now occurring after 6 p.m. So we're getting a little bit of that daylight a little bit longer in the evenings, and we are looking at a really nice day ahead. I do have some showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, and I mentioned the potential for a few strong storms. I think those are possible very late tonight, well after dark, and it's not a huge severe weather threat. What we're seeing here is a marginal threat of severe storms, and I think the concerns will be for frequent lightning, cloud-to-ground lightning. It could be a loud night overnight in the Ozarks. And we are also talking about the potential for some large hail up to the size of quarters. So do be mindful of that. That's with this strong storm system moving in late tonight into early Thursday morning. We might have just enough energy to get some of those scattered strong to severe storms with hail to the size of quarters and frequent thunder and lightning. Slightly cooler conditions are then going to build into the area. Tomorrow we'll be in the mid 60s. By Friday, I think we're just at about 60 degrees for the high temperature. Even 60 is above average, or where we typically are this time of the year. So really no cold temperatures in this extended forecast. In fact, I think we're going to stay warm and above average clear through the end of the month. And we are talking about nice conditions setting up again just in time for the weekend. The Ozarks, most of the Midwest, even the Great Lakes, all marked in an area is expected to be well above normal through the end of the month, through the first week of March. So we are talking about a big warm up in the Ozarks that looks to stay. So good news for you if you like those warmer than average conditions. Heavy precip is then expected out for the west. That's happening early this morning, but the heavy rain, the gusty winds, and the heavy mountain snow in California is starting to lose some intensity today. They need a break. Atmospheric river conditions happening out in the west. A warming trend ahead for the Great Plains and the Midwest, and of course, we're part of that with our 70s that are in the forecast today. So things are looking pretty good around the country, especially if you're here in the middle. That's where we're nice and quiet. Could get loud, though, later tonight. Temperatures, by the way, tonight will fall back into the 40s. And then we've got highs in the mid-60s for you on Thursday. I think rain showers come to an end on Thursday by the lunch hour. It's just some morning leftover showers and thunderstorms that we'll be dealing with. All right, it's time for the Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather Brain Twister question for today. And I'm keeping on theme of going with these presidential questions in honor of President's Day on Monday. This is the question that I left you with yesterday. Which president was nicknamed the, quote, little magician? Do you think it was A, Gerald Ford, B, Ronald Reagan, C, Herbert Hoover, or D, Martin Van Buren? This is not a kind nickname, and it was assigned to D, Martin Van Buren. Doesn't that kind of sound like a magician? I now announce Martin Van Buren. I don't know. Sounds like a magician. They did not mean it as a nice little nickname, though. This was actually a nickname from his enemies. They called him the little magician. 2 stabs at Martin Van Buren. Number 1, his height. It was recorded that he only stood 5'6", so they were trying to call him little in the sense of his stature. And they called him a magician because of his apparent wily and shrewd political maneuvering. He could kind of sneak his way in and out of certain situations and change his opinions on certain topics. So his enemies gave him the name the Little Magician. Martin Van Buren was the 8th president of the United States and the first president from the state of New York. He was the first president born after the United States had won its independence from England, and he ran for president 3 times, but he only won that very first time. Now you know, the little magician was assigned to Martin Van Buren. He was also a main founder of the Democratic Party back then, which surely is a bit different than it is now. Now you know. D, congrats if that was your guess over on aroundtheozarks.com. Here's another chance. After being widowed, which president married his first wife's niece? Who do you think that was? A, Grover Cleveland, B, Benjamin Harrison, C, William McKinley, or D, Dwight D. Eisenhower? Which president married his first wife's niece? You can submit your guess around theozarks.com. While you're there, you can check out the forecast. We've got all the details on the timeline of rain moving in tonight. I think rain and storms happen after 9 p.m. tonight, on and off through the overnight hours, coming to an end by noon tomorrow. Enjoy the high temperatures today. 70 degrees, partly sunny skies, a beautiful spring-like day ahead in the Ozarks.